got my own facilities, right? Because there would be an interruption all the time. People would stop you in the middle of the workout to talk.
Yep.
Guys, I just real quick, I just started the recording because I don't want to miss. Sometimes we have some really good stuff on here. So just real quick, welcome everybody to the Referral Challenge Q&A Mastermind call for Friday, January 26th. We've already started this discussion, so we're just going to keep going about getting work done. So go ahead. So you're going to Vegas, Rick, for is this for John's thing, or is this just on your own?
Work. I'm locking myself in a room 5-6 hours every day, and then I'll do whatever I want afterwards. Honestly, if I go out there and I lock myself in a room, people can't interrupt me here, walk up to me and interrupt me in the middle of something.
Yeah.
And so there's things I want to get done. So yeah, I mean, people have been giving me trouble. Yeah, you're going to Vegas to work. I truly am. That's what I did that last time.
Yeah. I think that's smart. It's smart to get away without a doubt, and just being in a different environment where your options are so much more limited. You know, and it kind of enforces you to work, and you get a lot more done.
Yeah, I'm just going out there. I've got time frame that I'm going to do every day, get things done. I've got a list of what I plan on getting done. You know, and I plan on having a lot of it accomplished before I get back, if hopefully all of it. But obviously, I put a lot on that list, so if I don't get it all accomplished, even if I get 75% of it accomplished, I'm a heck of a lot further along than I'm getting here.
Yeah, I think that's smart. That's smart. Mike, do you ever do that? You ever go get a hotel room or go out of town or do anything like that to get work done?
Now, you know what I do is I come in real early in the morning sometimes when my wife and daughter are still sleeping. I leave my house. I come into my facility super early. And I'll start at like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning and work. If it's on a day like Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have no work at all in here in the morning. Like there's no training going on. So I come in and I work real early. And then I get home at 7:30 for my wife to go to work. But I get home.
I used to do that too, get up at 4:30 in the morning and do a lot of work at the house. But now my daughter gets up earlier. So, you know, when she's up, I'm going to spend time with her. That's just my priority. So now I use these little trips to get things done. Even when I go on vacation, I'll take 2 or 3 mornings every day, and I will literally do some sort of work, and at least on my online business.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Hey, speaking of your daughter, Rick, real quick, are you going to be in town early February for this dance thing that's going on at Disney? No,
we're not in that this year. I'll be there later in February again for our mastermind.
Yeah, I'm coming to that one. Yeah, Pat.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to be getting in early on Wednesday like I did last time, if you want to get together beforehand. And I'm going to reach out to Alicia, obviously, as well.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that for sure. All right, good. Hey, look, I wanted to bring this question up that I don't think Chris is going to make it on the call today, but he asked this in the group, and I think it's a good question, and I would like to get feedback from you guys on this as well. Chris said, he says, hey folks, not sure if I'll make the call today, but I have a question for the group. I'm going to start scheduling my team for workout programming and client follow-ups. He wants to know if there are thoughts or experiences you guys can share on how to compensate staff. Is this a reduced pay rate, less than training time, or same rate as training? So in case you don't follow that exactly, the way I understand it is he's asking, hey, if my trainers do the programming and do the client follow-ups, should I be paying them the same rate I pay them when they're actually physically training, or is it a reduced rate? And I want to get feedback.
Yeah, my first thing on that would be, how capable are they of actually doing the programming? I mean, like anything else, you know, you pay people for their value, is my opinion. So somebody that's doing really good programming and providing great content, I want to keep them happy and I want to compensate them for it. So I'm not afraid to, I wouldn't be afraid to pay a little bit more if they're doing a really good job putting together the programming and everything. You know, so I think you have to look at that on a case-by-case basis. And where is this person at when it comes to quality programming? How are they doing? are they just learning to really program? Then, I'm not going to pay them the same as I would somebody that is an ace at it.
Good point. Good point. Yeah. How do you assess that, whether someone is good at programming or not? Does it take someone like for Aaron or me, we're both good copywriters. We can look at copy and assess it and say, hey, this is good copy or this is not good copy. You could probably do the same, Rick. And so how does it take a good programmer to assess another programmer?
I believe so. I mean, let's face it, if you're not good at programming, how you know somebody else is good at it?
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
yeah, fair enough. Right.
So yeah, you better be, if you're going to start assigning this to somebody else and you're going to compensate them for it, you better be damn good at it yourself. And Chris is. I believe Chris is, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
Yeah.
I think he just needs to determine, how capable these people are and compensate accordingly. If somebody's really hasn't been doing a lot of programming, not good at it, I'm not going to pay them and compensate them the same way I would somebody like if Mike Fernandez was working for me, that I know can program. I know I don't have to worry and look over it. I'm going to compensate him well for it to make sure he stays on top of his game and show him that I appreciate, his abilities.
Yeah, we do something similar too. So I have, I agree with exactly what like Rick's saying, but we also pay them. We pay them by the program, and we pay them depending on how many days per week the program is. Whether it's 2, 3, 4 days a week that the program that they're writing, and then also, like Rick said, the experience and how well are the programs. Like, so our higher level athletes here, college professional athletes, or anyone that's got some kind of if they're coming to us that's referred from a therapist because they're just coming off of an ACL tear or something like that, I handle all those programs. But I have one guy that I've been working closely with, like to start to hand more of those off to him, but we pay him based upon the program. So I don't pay him like an hourly thing, because when they're first starting out, I felt like an hourly thing, they might get, one program done in 2 hours because they're like, oh, I'm really taking my time on this, but really they're kind of like just dragging their ass. So I paid them by the program, by how many days per week it was. And then they also,
I think it has to be per diem like that as well.
So there's incentive there, right, for them to want to do more programs. Because, I mean, every week here, we have anywhere from like 30 to 40 programs that possibly have to be written. So it's a good way to make more money. But we want to make sure that they're doing a good job with it too. And then we will incrementally increase it, just like you would with a pay range in terms of a salary of somebody.
And I think what he could do to be effectively is have different pay rates based on the quality of programming. Like a lower level programming is worth X amount, where something more advanced is worth Y. I think you could do it that way. And you're going to find out real quickly then too, who's capable of doing the higher level programming.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Aaron, you were going to say something? Crocker?
Yeah, I was going to say two things. One, Rick, you can't afford Mike. You might as well just take that off the board, dude. That's bad. Right? But two, the Iron Tribe system has one programmer system-wide, 55 units, one programmer, right? And so in that case, it just makes a lot of sense to me that you find a programmer, that's their job, you pay them accordingly to that job, and it's their baby.
Yeah, I think something that's scaled like that, I absolutely agree. Or if you find somebody in your facility that's capable of doing that, pay them and compensate that one person, but then just demand high quality from them.
Yeah, I can see how that would work when you're working with a specific population of people, specific niche of people. But like for Mike, you got different athletes at different levels who need different things. You obviously got to have very highly personalized programming. I think Chris's is probably more like Iron Tribe, but I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. The thing that we've talked about the programming side of it, but if you recall, his question had 2 points. It was the programming in advance and the follow-up afterwards. And in my thinking is, and I've never run a fitness business, but my thinking is that the follow-up is as integral, as is important as the programming and the actual training, because it's a comprehensive solution that produces the results. Is that accurate, or what do you guys think?
I go so far as say the follow-up's more important than the programming, because you can give them the best program. And I went through this with, of all people, Derek Thomas. Give them the greatest programming in the world, and they came back to me a month later saying, I need you to write another program, because he wasn't following through. And that's when I realized, that was my first big lesson on accountability. I'm like, I'm not writing you another one until you follow through with this one. So I think the accountability and checking on them is actually probably more important than actually writing the program in itself.
Yeah, that makes good sense. And it takes a power lifter who can bench 650 to tell Derek Thomas, I ain't writing That's funny. Yeah, good. Aaron Lindauer, you got any thoughts on this?
You're on mute here.
Aaron, you're muted.
Can't hear you
for some reason. Only Leo can hear you right now.
Still can't hear.
Yeah, well, you get it figured out. No worries. When you get a chance. You get it? No, still. I don't see you muted, so it's something on your end. All right, well, good. Well, that's helpful for. Oh, Calvin, you got any thoughts on that you want to share? Or you're driving, you might not be able to talk. Okay, I'm just going to make a note here for Chris to listen to the recording of the call today. Good stuff. Aaron, I do want to talk, Aaron Lindauer, want to talk about your question. Well, I just want to drive people's attention to it. Anybody watching this should look at what Aaron did. I love this Be My Swole Mate Valentine's card. I think that's great. And I have some questions for you, but if you're muted, we're going to have if you can't talk, it's not going to work. We'll figure it out. But Aaron Crocker, when you get a chance, can you look at that, at Aaron Lindauer's question, and between the two of us, see if we can't come up with a little bit of, some language that we might be able to give her.
Yeah, Aaron Lindauer, can you hear me? Can you? I still can't hear you. So here's a great big question I have about the swole thing. It works great for the male gender, but I'm not sure how well it resonates or how well it goes over with the female gender, and that's simply a cultural gem question. This may be, the language you use, and it works just great. But if you're trying to go externally with the swole message, people may not even know what it means if they're not accustomed.
Yeah, that was just the internal messaging, the swole thing. I think she was looking for some language for the external.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yay! You sound so much better now.
No, the swole was just internal, which I even kind of laughed at it because I was like, oh my gosh, are some of our 60 and 70-year-old clients going to know what this means? They'll think it's cute, and that's all I'm looking for. So
yeah. I think it's cute too, and you can do some cute things around it. But I agree with Aaron that you definitely wouldn't want to go external with that. But I know that's not your plan. What do you got there?
Just post this. So basically, I've been trying to really wrap my head around this message, and I really appreciate you guys, even taking a look at this, because obviously this is what people pay you for. So, but what I was going to do is take something similar to this Valentine card from a design perspective, but then I'm going to put 2 $100 replica bills that you can purchase on Amazon, and I mean, they look amazing.
Yeah.
And then, the wording, and I can type this out and put it in the Facebook group too, but what I was thinking about is 100 hearts would be too few to carry all my love for you, ... But $100 or $200 can make a sweet deal even sweeter this Valentine's Day. save $100 on a 6-month program, save $200 on a 12-month program. Then it will say go to www.love.tfwellness.com or call our phone number. And then for the deadline, tell me if this is bad. Our love runs dry. Sign up by February 20th.
Our love runs dry. I like that.
Yeah, right.
That is good.
We love you for a very limited period of time.
I like that a lot. See, that's something I would use.
That's what I was trying to like. So this is going to go, so this message is going to go to a list of 500 or 1,000 people I don't know. So they're going to get it and be like, who the heck is this person? We're going to have a before and after or two on the back side of this card.
Erin,
Yes.
Can you pull your microphone a little closer to you, please?
Yes.
All right. And so let's take a pause right there. So maybe I missed something, but on the one conversation, this is an internal program. And then suddenly we've made a leap. So clarify for me.
Yes. So there's the internal was just the card, a Valentine, piece of chocolate, give it to every client. Normally we give a rose, but I thought we'd do something a little bit different this year. Then keeping with the Valentine's Day theme, I would like to do my external marketing as far as a mailing, a reactivation, and then to my NABO ladies, which are my business women. I would like to do a mailing. So it's been a minute since I've done a mailing. So that's what this external message, I was just proud of my Valentine. So that's why.
Yes, it's good language. I think but as you were alluding to earlier, it implies relationship. And so I think it works well for your NABO and for, of course, reactivation, all that. But for the real cold list, the EDDM,
It probably
want to tweak it a little bit or goofy it up a little bit, more over the top. So it's like, I even though I don't know you, I still love you. That, just taking it to a whole nother level where it's almost humorous, but that gets tricky to do.
Yeah.
I envision that being taking that and creating a good Facebook ad with that personally.
Mm-hmm.
I really can see that whole thing being a really badass Facebook ad targeted to women in your area.
I have a love-hate with Facebook.
We all do.
Yeah. But I agree with Rick that I would test it. In fact, that, here's the thing to do. With the beauty of Facebook advertising, and this was the same with AdWords too, is that you can test so quickly.
Yeah.
And you could take that language, get a cute image to go with it or something, slap it up there tomorrow and start testing it. Even though we're a few weeks away from Valentine's, start testing it. If it pulls reasonably well, and I mean even break even, maybe even just reasonably well, then I would say, yeah, I would potentially use it as external. But I don't think I'd do any direct mail without testing a headline or the offer first on like Facebook and trying it out and seeing how that works. Because if it's a total bomb on Facebook, it ain't going to work on EDDM.
Right.
I mean, it could, but the odds are against it.
Well, and so I've reconsidered the EDDM because when I looked at it, and I may misunderstand, so correct me on this, but you can't do demographics. It's just zip codes, right?
Right. But you can choose your zip code. So therefore you can target demographics to some degree because you know the value of the homes you're mailing to.
Okay, I gotcha. So I started looking at, should I just go back to my Info USA mailing list instead?
Do you have any, around you, I got to believe right around your facility, there's some good zips. And you don't even have to go an entire zip code. You can do mail routes. You can choose the routes within the zip. So you don't have to mail the whole zip code.
So you can pick the street? You
can pick the carrier route is what it's called. So a carrier route might be 400 homes or 500 homes. It could be 1,000 if there's some multi-unit places in there. But if you go to the EDDM website, they'll show you a graphic of the carrier route, and you can drill down right on there and see exactly where it's going to go.
Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah, I would do that versus Info USA personally.
Okay, all right, I appreciate that. But so, Aaron, is it maybe needs to do a little bit more work for the EDDM? Like for my warm market, this could be a good message, but are you recommending that I do a little bit more for the EDDM?
Well, EDDM's cold. Cold as ice.
Right.
Right? So you got to come out with an offer, pretty strong headline, something very enticing to get readership. Is it a postcard?
EDDM would be, right.
Right. So tight messaging, quick to the point, headline that grabs, offer that entices, some kind of a landing page to go to so you can expand upon the message.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah. Let me just get this out because Calvin just asked a good question. Not everybody knows. EDDM stands for Every Door Direct Mail, for those who don't know.
Hey, Aaron, if you get your copy kind of dialed in, send it over to me. I'll try to work up some Facebook ads for you.
I got you. Thanks.
Seriously, I would.
I appreciate it. I did hire Ben again, so.
Yeah. But I would seriously do that. Does he have to do all your stuff, Aaron? Does he have full control now, or can you get in there and run some campaigns too?
Oh, no, I can. I just hate Facebook.
But like I said, I would just play with some of it just to come up with copy and find some images that might work for you. I'd be happy to.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I just, I was trying to play with the copy on this, but I can appreciate where this is good for a warm market. So I appreciate that feedback. That helps.
I think it's really cute, and I like it. Would you be willing to post that in the group?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, just so and that way we can look at it again. I like to, hearing it's one thing, I need to see. I like to
visualize it.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be good. But I think it's a great idea. Valentine's it's a good time, obviously, to whenever you associate an offer with something that's top of mind, and that's smart.
Now, before we move on, Aaron, let me ask you this real quick. What's your deadline to send that out? What are you looking at in terms of your EDDM?
I mean, if I could send it out by February 12th, that's fine.
Okay, so today is the 26th. Here's what I'm going to suggest. I know you're using Ben. I get that, but you need to take Rick up on his offer. You need to test this cold message online, and when you find it'll work, then send it out EDM. That's what I'd do.
Perfect. Okay.
And you know what you might want to do, just as a fun thing, there's so many things you can do. So this is just one idea, but you could just do a video of you just saying, I've written a poem for you, and then just read the poem and see what happens, and then make the offer at the end and see what happens. But I think the personal element of you actually reciting the poem yourself would be more powerful than trying to use an image, because you need them to, you're going to have to, you'd be able to put the poem, anyway, you could split test it. So you could use an image and actually put the poem in the copy, or you could use a video where you're reciting the poem. I'd split test that, frankly.
I would do both, personally.
Yeah. Split test.
But I think the video would be strong.
Yeah, the video is obviously, the algorithm's better for Facebook.
Always.
Yeah.
And if that does work, and say it outpulls just the static image with the copy and the post, what I would do is make your EDDM postcard a big picture of you with the headline, "Can I read you a poem?" or something like that. I would mimic as closely as possible, the elements from the video ad that you just ran successfully.
Even with this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely.
That's even better.
Hey, being pregnant shows love.
That's a glove.
I should put a tank top on with a big heart.
You all beat me to the punch. I was going to come right out and say, Aaron, the best thing you can do with your humorous postcard is to have that little punch at the very end when they come in and you say, this right here, is the love show. Or something.
Yeah.
You know, if I were you, I'd be standing even 3/4 sideways so they can see you're pregnant.
Yeah.
You would use that, dear. Honestly, I can see. I mean, women like that. You know that.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So
None of us can use it. Use it. None of us can use that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. You have a distinct advantage there. Yeah.
Perfect.
I mean, you have an advantage over all of us, even if you were just sitting down and doing it. But my God, being as far along as you are, use it.
Yeah. And moreover, here's something I've heard recently that I've not forgotten, and I'm figuring out how to best use it, but it falls beautifully for you right here, is that nobody is ever more influenceable than right after you make them laugh.
Right.
Yeah.
Very good point.
Cool. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Because I keep mulling this over, and it's just nice to be able to throw it back and forth. So thank you.
Yeah, it's good stuff. And it's funny, it just popped into my head. I saw a headline for an article, a news story today, I think it was, just about they measured the force of a baby's kick in utero.
Dude.
Yeah, and they said that at like 4 months or something like that, the baby could kick with 10 pounds of pressure.
Mm.
Interesting. Yeah.
I would believe it. About 3 a.m.
Glad I'm a man.
Yeah.
Yes.
Really?
Just saying, Aaron. No offense.
No, it's good. Mike, how far along's your wife?
Can't hear you, Mike.
You're muted, Mike.
She's due March 11th.
Oh, okay. So she's a month ahead of me then.
Yeah, she keeps telling me all those things. I don't feel anything, but she
So-
keeps telling me she's feeling those kicks.
Listen, just tell her to put it off a day. March 12th. That's the year I got married. So, I mean, there you go. Well,
I'm trying to get it planned in between the trips I have. I got to go to. I'm going to Orlando. I'll be down there with Rick when he's down there, and then supposed to go to Vegas in a few weeks later. So it's kind of like sandwiched in the middle.
Oh, yeah.
So, not a happy
You're going
wife
to
right
Vegas
now.
and your wife's having a baby.
That's what she said. And I said, yeah, but it's like a week and a half later.
Just don't blame it on me, Mike.
Let's just preface this. This is not your only child, correct?
Yeah. Wow, you sound just like her. She says the exact same thing. I said I haven't confirmed that I'm definitely going yet.
You're not going to Vegas.
It's a possibility.
Oh, please.
It's a possibility.
Okay, I'll tell you what. You can blame it on me. You're going to be there with me, too.
Yeah. Who's this Rick guy?
Yeah. What's going on in Vegas?
Already.
What's going on in Vegas, Mike?
Go ahead, Rick. You say it.
John Spencer Ellis's Penthouse Group. We're both in it.
Okay, so that's that. All right, good. Yeah. That's a good one. Well, you know what, Mike, you've just made a decent chunk of change from your launch of your thing. You get your wife a nanny.
1 week after.
Yeah, I guess that doesn't work either. I guess you kind of either in person.
Oh, this is a bunch of soup.
I'm not even going to respond to that one.
Yeah, me either.
Well,
Right.
just ask Camellia, because Camellia was like, I was like, yeah, I'm going to be able to travel as soon as we have him, blah, 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 when we had Leo. And she's like, no, you're not. No, you're not. She was very right.
I think Camellia would punch me in the nose if I said I was leaving right after she was going to give birth to a child. Luckily, we're way past all that. We don't have to make that happen anymore.
Yes, I'm ready for this phase to be done. But I did one on a reverse on Chris Gray's whole thing. Knowing Chris's business just a little bit, programming, I would set it up as specific project hours. And I would do like these guys are saying, like pay for that amount of time. We were of the mindset that every coach should be able to program, and not every coach is good at programming. You would like to think after 4 years, exercise science degree experience, that everybody just knows how to program. They don't. And that's okay. It's a skill set that's developed. It's learned over time. But I think it's important to give people exposed but then take your guy that does a really good job or your gal that does a good job, or take some ideas and Chris implement them. And then I would pay them whatever the hourly rate, but I would cap it, cap that time.
So that it's interesting to hear you say that, because what came to mind listening to you right then is Mike's whole thing about the way he tiers Mike, you tier your trainers. Your trainers reach different levels. You can have the same thing with programming, I suppose. You know, here you're sort of a beginner programmer, and you get paid X amount, and then when you become a medium level programmer, you get paid a little bit more, and then a master programmer, or whatever you want to call it, you get even more. I mean,
that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier.
Okay, yeah, because you definitely want to develop that skill in them, and that's a good way to incentivize, I think. Yeah.
But it does take time, and it takes time to get the quality of product you want out there. So I just go back and forth, because we've tried so hard for so long, 10 years, to make everybody have the skill set that we've had for the last 10 years plus. And we're wrecking our heads and beating our heads against the wall, like, why do I keep getting this when your expectation is up here? And so it was just remembering, like, hey, they don't have these years of experience. And like you guys were saying, you know, if you said, hey, write these programs, well, what could take us 5 minutes takes them, 2 hours. So it's making that condensed time, and just paying, the hourly rate is just whatever anybody feels is appropriate. I don't think there's a magic. But anyways, that was my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. No, I think that's great stuff. And it's so, it's so important. And the other thing about what you said, it's disappointing, but it's just the reality is that these folks, not all of them want it, and I wonder about that, but that's just the way it is. Not everybody can be a winner. That's the way it is.
When some people are really good at implementing it, but they're not good at putting it together, or they'll put together a bunch of random because they did it last minute. I mean, we can call out our team every day of the week, but it's one of those things where the program, yes, you can write the best program, but if the client doesn't actually do the program, so the accountability, because you can give that person the same workout, maybe put a different couple things in there, and you're like, oh, you actually implemented it this time. This one works.
Yeah, right. Right.
So, but I just, as far as accountability time, if we didn't have our base salaries, so we have our base salaries, so it's worked into their project time, we would just pay them an hourly rate. 10 to $15 an hour, whatever was appropriate. So.
And then how does that compare to what they earn when they're actually training?
So how we changed this years ago, and everybody gets a base salary, and then they get bonuses based on how the company's performing, so KPIs. Nice.
Do you feel like that's been a positive transition?
It's been a transition. So when numbers are good, it's great. So we set our bases too high originally.
Yeah.
So we've had to retract, and we're just now getting through that. So that's been tough. So we had some staff changeover because they were upset about their pay being changed. So, which I would get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's good that you guys are trying to dial it in. I mean, you're trying to find the right method and process that works for you.
Yeah, we just had to eliminate one of our Fit Pro positions, so that's been really tough. We had 4 Fit Pros, 2 that worked morning, 2 that worked evening. Everybody was on salary, easy peasy. But when your numbers don't support having 4 salaries, you got to make tough decisions. So we just had to do that, and that's not fun. But
no, but that's the reality of small business.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
And big business.
And what, Aaron?
And big business. It's the reality of business, right?
Yeah, that's true. Smaller businesses are more susceptible to changes. You can't weather the storm as long when you're small. When you're larger, you can.
In service businesses too. I mean, man, this is so personal. It's and we finally now are going to have it where it's a team. Like you have to train as a team. It's not your client, your sessions. It's everybody's working. We have shift 1, 2, and 3, and everybody's rotating every week. They have a different shift, and 2 of the shifts have splits. And then one of them is just a straight, so you don't have to do a split. So it's just been it's such an evolution, man. We've done it every which way. So we'll see how this one goes.
Yeah. Are you personally the one who's implementing that, or is that Tony's area?
For the
management of your staff?
That's under Tony's hat. Okay.
That's Tony's. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, how are things with the competition with that WNBA girl and her businesses? Have you noticed anything?
We have been impacted. Yeah. So we were at 120 clients at the beginning of 2017, touched the 30s, went down to the 20s, and we have steadily, we're at 105 right now. So we have more competition. We have, the Orange Theory is not the only thing now downtown, but I don't believe that our service has been where it needed to be. So that's another piece of it. So I don't blame it all on, everybody's going to Orange Theory or CrossFit or this or that. I do feel that we had some things going on inside the 4 walls that needed to be better, which comes back to all of us. But yeah, they opened February 9th, and we have lost, just here in the last 2 weeks, we've lost 2 people who said they're going to Orange Theory. So.
Wow. So for you guys, I mean, I know there's always operational issues that need to be dialed in, and I think that's an ongoing process. But for you, Aaron and Tony, you guys, am I right in that your primary issue has been and still is client acquisition, consistent client acquisition? Is that number one?
Getting enough clients. So we have an attrition rate that has been the same for 4 years. It has been the same attrition rate. So we lose 6 clients every single month. That's hands down. What has happened is I'm not bringing in, I need to be bringing in 15 to 20 clients a month to help us build. Our ideal business is at 150 clients. That's what our systems support, and we don't have to hire any additional, which obviously we would if we crossed those bridges. But so we've had a very similar attrition rate. So sometimes I feel like we beat the snot out of how well we're servicing a client, when in reality, we're losing clients at the same rate, but we're not bringing on enough clients. So there's not enough referrals. There's not enough marketing out there to support bringing people in. So which that falls back on me.
Yeah. Why your attrition is 6 a month? Why is that? And I know there's natural attrition, and I'm not saying this is high. I don't know. I'm just curious. What are you discovering?
So it's anything and everything. We definitely have one person move. We have people tell us it's financial. We have now goes to Orange Theory or goes to a competitor. We have people, I already said move. So those are basically the rhetorical, because I mean, we track everything but then we also have had recently, we've had people actually purchase out of their contract. So they have to pay 2 months. And we've had 4 women in the last 6 months tell us that it was a service defect with a coach. So, which thankfully we actually got that feedback. So now we're working, Tony is hand in hand with that employee. Sometimes it's like, why do you spend that much time working with someone? Just do what you need to do. But it's easier said than done to hire someone. But those are the reasons we're seeing that attrition. It's not.
How does that number compare with your peers? Do you know, because you're at about 5%, based on your numbers now, you're at 4 to 5% monthly attrition.
It's good. It's not a bad attrition for a small group.
Okay. Well, that's, yeah, good.
I mean, I've posted it in other forums. I have asked other people, you know, people will tell you don't focus on so I feel like we beat the snot out of how many clients we lose per month. In reality, if I would go get 2 more corporate accounts, we wouldn't even be having this discussion.
Yeah. No, I'm just asking out of curiosity. I'm not concerned. And that's because you tell me the numbers. I mean, 4 to 5%. You think attrition is natural in every business. So right. All I care about is that you know why it's happening, and clearly you do. And there's no big glaring problems. The problems that come up you're addressing. So you're right. I mean, the best answer, and that's what we used to always say at MPE too, is just make more money. You know, and that means get more clients. And that is, generally speaking, the best answer. You want to be efficient with the money you make. You guys are. So you just got to get out there, get more clients, and make more money. It's easier said than done, but.
Yeah, I mean, basically I relied a lot on Facebook like everybody else has. And then all of a sudden it just stopped in 2017 for us. For other people, they did really, really well. Our market has gotten a little more saturated here in Indianapolis, which that's part of it. But then I know that I have not put out enough. So, I mean, for February, I'm doing 10 different marketing strategies. I mean, which is a lot. I mean, that's more than I've ever done. But the goal is I got to get 20 clients in this month based on our attrition rate to hit the goals that we need to hit. So I personally have not been putting out what I used to put out that was working before is not working. So I need to stop what I'm doing, relook at marketing strategies. I've kind of gone back to the Dan Kennedy stuff and reread Grassroots. And, you know, it's just like the referral challenge. I mean, it's this kind of stuff. We can't always rely on the Facebook ad. And I think that's what I was doing. And I need to use it. It's a good tool, keep testing, trying different things. But then I need to go back to the EDDM. I mean, every time I put a direct mail piece out, I've always gotten 1 or 2, which for us, that's all I need. I just need 1 or 2 to come in from that. Then doing, you know, the reactivations, the 26-word email, which is my version of the 6, 9, whatever.
13, yeah.
13, yeah. You know, the charity workouts, the handwritten cards, the NABO stuff. So it's just having an intentional effort to get the 20. Well, and then I don't even know how many leads I actually have to get in the door to actually convert. So that's one thing that I never had to worry about because we were getting enough leads. I closed enough sales. Everything was fine.
Yeah. What you said about the direct mail and putting it out, and as long as you're, you know, I mean, you know, your average lifetime value. So if you're bringing in 1 to 2 and you're not doing a huge mailing, I imagine your ROI is pretty substantial, pretty rock solid on that. You know, the number one thing in the consultations, I always started it off back when I first started doing this, and I've never stopped. Is I said, you know, what do you do that works, and you know, keep doing that, and then let's build on that. So if you've got something that, you know, you definitely want to keep doing that. It is labor intensive, those EDDMs initially, you know, getting it set up and everything, but keep doing it. Yeah.
Getting back to like the new mover campaign. I mean, just getting back to some of these kind of grassrootsy campaigns that work, the handwritten cards. Obviously, I saw that work tenfold with the reactivation of clients last month. I mean, it was just so simple. And obviously that was from rewatching video, I'm not even sure, week 2, week 3 from the referral challenge. And it said, how many handwritten cards are you writing? How many personal phone calls are you making? I mean, that's another thing that Tony and I had gotten away from. You know, you have a child, and obviously now we have another one on the way, but you can come up with every excuse to not make these personal touches, but that's what our businesses are all about. I mean, we are in service. Hands down, we're in service. So
I tell people all the time, it's called personal training, so you need to keep personal.
Yeah. So I'll say two things to that, Aaron. Well, I'll say three. Out of the gate, I hope people watch this. Your maturity level as a business owner is stellar, dude. I mean, you have a clear head on your shoulders, right?
Doesn't always feel like it.
Well, I get it. But secondly, and Eric and I, we're coming at this from two different angles. Eric is very hyper. He's quite cautious about direct mail. And yet it was his direct mail that changed my life, right? I find myself a bit more optimistic about direct mail than he does, right? I think direct mail is literally the next biggest opportunity for the fitness industry, coming full circle from where it was. Facebook's doing what it does. AdWords has done what it does. But back to Rick's point and yours, personal training is personal service, and a personal message in the mail will rock if it's done right.
I just, can I jump in real quick and just say amen to that, amen to that. And I'll tell you, the reason that I am cautious about direct mail is because in the early days of NPE, and Aaron, you might remember this, I'm not sure, you know, we came up with a lot of direct mail campaigns and encouraged folks, hey, go get them. Get after this. And people were doing $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 mailings, and sometimes it's not pulling. And then that falls on me because I crafted that campaign. So I'm always cautious about advising things. But here's the thing that I love, and this, I even said this back then, take your idea. If you've got an idea for a direct mail piece, take that idea, test it on Facebook, get some feedback. If you're getting a positive response to a core message, a headline type thing, an offer, that thing can absolutely be worked in direct mail, and now you can test small and that's all I'm saying is just be smart about how you do it. Don't go dump $5,000 into an untested direct mail piece.
Right.
Right on. So this is the Tim Ferriss thing, right? Tim Ferriss, how he came up with his 4-hour work week title of his book. He tested it online, and he went out there and found the winner, and that's how he came up with the name of his book.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's as methodical about testing as anyone. That's his whole premise. The whole premise for his website is you know, let me test things for you. And he's very, very smart about how he tests everything.
No, I like what you guys are saying as far as, you know, take that message and put it on Facebook, you know, testing it out, because you can test that relatively inexpensively and quick before you print it. So that's a really good recommendation. And just, you know, we still have clients from the icing the cake from back in the day. So
that's awesome.
I actually considered putting that back out.
You know, if it worked for you once, it would probably work for you again. There have been quite a few good, you know, your what is it, Body Back was a good one. And I've written quite a few that worked real well. Nothing at the level of Icing the Cake, but some very solid performers. And you know what? I just want to reinforce what Aaron Crocker said about direct mail. I think, you know, you think Facebook's a gold mine, you get direct mail to work the right way. That is the ultimate gold mine, particularly for local businesses. I mean, because you can just consistently be hit. You know where they live. You know, you don't have to worry about them maybe seeing your ad. You're putting it right in their house. So, yeah.
So let me just put an exclamation point on that. My own personal story with the icing on the cake. And you know, I had 3 fitness facilities at the time. The third one wasn't working. You know, Forrest Walden finds a display ad in some fitness magazine by this guy over here up in the upper left-hand corner of my screen, right? And Forrest comes to me and he tells me he's just spent $300 on this junk mail. And I'm like, dude, you're killing me, right? We've got this third facility that is not working. Our first facility, we opened with a $30,000 a month. Our second facility, we opened with a $20,000 a month. And our third facility opened with a $4,500 a month. 5 months later, it still isn't at break even. And he's spending $300 on junk mail. And I'm like, dude, you're killing me. So we get it. They want me to put my face with this icing on the cake, holding a cake with this. And I refused. That ain't happening, dude. I worked too dang hard for my reputation, right? And so lo and behold, I sent the letter out. We sent out 740 some odd pieces. Cost me like $200 or $300 at the time, right? Netted 40 grand in a month. 40. We moved that next piece over to our second location. It did 86,000 in a month. By that time, we opened our fourth location. We used it as a launch piece and did $103,000 in December.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that is
So
awesome.
now you can see why I'm a copywriter, right? And now you can see why I'm so freaking enthusiastic about direct mail, because, dude, it works when you get it right.
Mm-hmm.
What's amazing is I have never seen that sales letter.
Oh, well, we'll show it to you.
I was about to say the same thing. It's like, oh, I'm waiting for my turn here because I don't know nothing about icing on the cake, and I'm sitting here. That was my question of today. Was this came in the mail about getting postcards to send 5,000 postcards out for $329, and I don't know what the heck to send out right now because I haven't sent anything like mail or newspaper in years, and so I want to hit that avenue and kind of where I hope I'm not jumping in at the right time, but kind of like what Rick's sales letter is, you know, not your typical fitness experience, you know, we're a studio and that. I'm kind of toying with start off as a boot camp, and we call ourselves Team Personal Training. And so rebranding and get people to use Team Personal Training is what we offer. But at the same time, I'm almost not even want to say studio. I'm thinking about one that's like lab or factory or something just totally different. You know, we have another gym that came in, this Coco Fit gym. And I'm familiar with the Camp Gladiators program. They're all outside, outdoor boot camp type stuff. And I'm pretty happy we had a really brutal winter down here in Texas when you didn't know what happened. So it sucked to be Camp Gladiators if they were trying to train outside right now. Y'all Northerners know more about that. But so I kind of wanted to actually what are we talking about? Send out a really good postcard, something in the mail that gets out there, that brings some eyeballs in here and really kind of becoming anti-gym, so to speak. You know, sick of the gym kind of experience. I want to almost just really differentiate ourselves from that, because you're coming here for the training. When people come out, yeah, you can have a gym membership all the time. The other people have gym memberships, but they come to us for the personal training. And that's kind of the message I want to send to get people in the door. But if I need to put a icing on a muffin or cornbread, I mean, tell me what to do.
You got a great sense of humor.
Tell me what to do.
That's good.
You know, Tony made me do our cake over again because he said our cake was too lumpy.
I still have the one of Aaron. I've got the actual letter that he sent out with his picture on it. I've got it in my slide files. It's funny, but you know what's interesting? The whole direct mail thing is, you know, it's great that you've sort of brought this up and really drove it home, Aaron, because it is something that we need to seriously look at. Everybody needs to seriously look at, because, you know, when Aaron crushed it with icing, this was 2003, 2004 timeframe. There was when you get your mail on a daily basis, you'd have a stack like this. Now you get your mail, you got 3 pieces in there. So it's so much easier to stand out now in direct mail than it was then. So there's more reasons to really work the direct mail angle. But Calvin, to your point about the language and how you want to work that, I encourage you to craft stuff, to start putting your ideas on paper and try and craft it into something compelling. Put it up in the group. Aaron, you got a lot of good copywriters in the group besides Aaron and me. People will give you good feedback. We're not going to write it for you, not without a fee, of course. You talk to Aaron about that. But certainly we'll give you feedback on some of these things. And as we discussed, and I think this needs to be reinforced, test it. Test the idea in Facebook just for 4 or 5 days. Run your prime. I'm talking your headline, because with direct mail, just like everything else, rule number 1, you got to get it open. You got to get attention. Okay, so if you're using a postcard, you're not worried about open, but letter, it's got to get open. But rule number 1, you got to get that attention. You have to get that, and then it's the attention, interest, action, desire. It's the A to principle, but if you think attention and action, you'll do okay. And that means something headline related, attention wise, picture and headline component, and action. What is the offer? think in those terms and test that on Facebook. Post something in the group. We'll be happy to give you feedback.
Cool.
But I think you're onto just don't fall. You held up that postcard for, who's that from? That postcard, it's an ad.
It was just something, postcardmania.com.
Oh, yeah. They're probably the #1 postcard mailer in the United States right now. I'm not set
on anything in particular, but I kept saying is, okay, the next few weeks I need to get something out. I need to create something and get something out, whether it's through them or through some other program, but I need to get some kind of stuff direct mail out.
Yeah, well, #1 with direct mail, don't be in a rush, because you can spend a lot of money and get nothing back if you're not careful. You need to be, and this is my whole thing, just be careful. As Aaron said, it could probably be kick Facebook's ass. You get it done, you do it right. Mm-hmm. Most people don't do it right. Most people end up paying getting slapped by the Postal Service tax, or whatever you call it,
Stupid tax, right?
The stupid tax, just like Google used to do. So just I again commend you, and I encourage you, and I just say be smart about how you do it.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of you would only need to get 1 or 2 clients to cover that cost. So make it reasonable. So don't mail it out to 3,000 people, mail it out to a reasonable 500, 1,000, whatever, so that if you got 1 customer from that, it would at least cover your cost. So when you get 2, you're just like, oh, okay. But that's kind of always been my rule of thumb. I don't know if that's what you guys would recommend, but
that is as far as I'm concerned with direct mail, you need to do break even or better. If you don't want to go, you can go negative. If you've got deep pockets, you can go negative on direct mail. It's not ideal. And I think, there's a lot of sophisticated things we can talk about where you can go negative and everything will be fine. But you ideally don't want to. You ideally want to break even or better that cost of mailing.
Yeah.
So listen, when we did Paul Fetter's piece, that 20-page newspaper, right? We sent it out to 5,000 people. It turned into 120 grand for him or something. But look, his cost per person, was like $400 to $700 a month, right? That makes a huge difference, right? If you're charging $140 a month, that rapidly shrinks down to ditto. So to your point, Aaron, when I sent out my icing on the cake, it went out to just over 700 homes, right? And the ROI was, it's just freaking off the chart, right? So I love the idea of a smaller list and to test and see if it works. But it's got to be big enough to be viable, right?
Right. And the thing about postcards is so much, anyway, there are pros and cons of the postcard versus the letter. The letter is so much more personal. You can do so much more with it, but it's also so much more expensive to do. So anyway, I don't want to get too bogged down in this because I want to get to Mike real quick. I know he's got a question. So Mike, go ahead with your stuff.
Thank you. So I know I talked to Aaron, I talked to Rick about this already, and guys in the group know that I've had this leasing issue now come up, right? So yesterday I got a call from the owner of the building saying that the company that's moving in here was interested in keeping me here and hiring me to train their employees and all that. So supposed to set up a meeting. Anyway, he called me back that afternoon and said, can you meet tomorrow? So I went and met at 11 o'clock this morning. And the meeting started with him first telling me that he really couldn't say much about what they do because it's very hush-hush right now. Still, it's very confidential, but it's a medical facility. So I started putting 2 and 2 together right away. They're going to be moving in a marijuana facility here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You guys just legalized it.
Yeah. So the building's long story short, so I had this meeting with him, and then the guy came by to take some pictures, and I was actually at my facility, and I went outside, and I was able to flag him down and got him to come inside, and we had a long discussion, and this is when he actually told me what it was. So what they want, and I got a lot of issues with it to begin with because of what we do here. What he wants to do is essentially bring me in, no rent, no nothing, train their employees, still be able to do our own people. But the thing is, the state law or the town bylaw says that the majority of your clientele cannot be under the age of 18 years old. And I'm doing some of the numbers now, and we're over that. Like, so we have a lot of athletes that are in that 16, 17, 15. The AAU program that we were going to announce a deal with is 170 athletes that are under the age of 18. So obviously he said the owner, because I tell you I had the conversation with the owner, he said the owner doesn't really care about any of the other places in here, but he's given us a hard time about you. Like, we got to find something. And he's like, after talking with you and everything like that, he said, I think this place is awesome. It would be such a huge thing to have you on, and we'll find a way to make it work. And you'll be able to keep your brand and do all this stuff. But I'm like, I'm not giving up I'm not going to come in here and just go strictly all corporate and not do everything that's worked for me. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I'm just kind of not sure really what to do. I mean, my mind's already been starting to work on, like, well, maybe I could train adults here since it's going to be rent free. I'm going to have no expenses. they're going to outfit the facility for me and everything. I can train strictly adults here, and then essentially open up another facility down the road where I train all my athletes. Or I just don't know. I mean, we also train a state rep, and I don't even know if this thing is, because the owner also said that, if this doesn't go through, that we're going right back to square one, which is a 5-year deal with everything that I had, or the expansion, everything, if this falls through. And they said it's really going to be he said, I should be making you sign a non-disclosure right now. He said, so I don't want you to tell anybody. I said, I'm not going to tell anybody except for everybody on the call today.
So they're going to be, I don't understand. How are they going to be involved? Are they going to be growing? No, they're not. Yeah,
they're doing, well, they're going to be, I don't know what they're going to be growing, but they're going to be doing all the oils, everything. So there's going to be a dispensatory here. So people are going to be able to come in and buy it, but they're also going to be like, so they're going to be removing all the, THC and all that stuff. So they're going to be able to get the oil without the people getting high, and they're going to have all that stuff. This building is like,
but it's all medical. It's not what's the other term?
Recreational.
Recreational.
Yeah. As of right now it is. I don't know if it'll always be that way, but what he told me was that because of some of the bylaws, that's one of the reasons why they're being forced to buy the whole building, because they were only going to rent the section in the back, like 20,000 or 40,000 square feet. But the bylaws are making them buy the entire building. And because they're buying the entire building, they can't have, like, there's all those other laws in there. So I actually called the town hall yesterday to try and get some idea, because I was going into this meeting blind. Like, I had no idea who I was meeting with. I was trying to get some idea of, like, what's going on. They didn't tell me anything. They said, oh, we don't know anything. But apparently they've been having all these closed door meetings already, is what they told me. And they're trying to approach it. They're trying to bring it to it as it's this big wellness type thing. And I'm going to be I'm worried about my face being on the forefront of that. Like, oh yeah, here's the guy. He's the one running the wellness, wellness program. He's the face of the wellness.
Right. The parents will love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so there's a few, like, I don't know, a few things that I'm like up in the air about. They're talking with their attorney, and he said, I just wanted to make sure to see if you were even interested. And I was like, before I can even say if I'm interested, I need to know what you guys do. Right. Like, it's a top secret information. I don't even know what you do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the guy was like, really, we had a pretty good, he was there for 40 minutes. We just shot the shit for a while. Me and the other guy, the owner, they're coming down from about an hour from here. They've already done 2 of them.
But so let me just make sure I got this straight. So this guy potentially is going to come in, buy the entire building.
Yep.
And turn it, this will become the medical marijuana dispensary, whatever facility. And then they'll leave you in rent free. You'll be able to maintain all your current space rent free.
They're going to move me down. They want to move me over to have my own private entrance. They want to take my entrance, because it's like the main part of the building, and they want to make that the main part of their building. We're going to have, what he's saying right now, again, it has to go through the attorney, is any of the employees that come through the main entrance, they'll be able to see my facility through a glass window and all that stuff, and they'll be able to enter. But any of my private clients that I have already would have to enter through a separate door, which I think is great because I can separate the whole thing from the kids in the whole thing. But I'm just leery because I mean, if that's the case, if it wasn't for the athlete thing, I'd be like, yeah, man, right. Okay. He said essentially, you tell me. I mean, again, he's throwing things out there. What I'm thinking in my head is like, you stay here rent free, and whatever that would come out to, and whatever it costed to hire you per hour, you would give us that many hours in terms of like training for our team or training for they're only going to have 35 employees to get started. So it's not going to be a huge influx of employees. The building's way bigger than what they need right now. And they said they'd be able to do at least 3 years. And they said, honestly, I think this is like almost like a no-brainer. I think this is going to be a win-win for everybody. Again, obviously he's trying to sell me too. Yeah. On the whole idea.
But still, that means what? Maybe $5,000 to $7,000 a month that you're saving.
My rent is so cheap. And that's one of the reasons I have an awesome deal. And he knows it too, because he saw the lease. He's like, because he said you might not believe it, but Ron, who's the owner of the building, was like, I don't want to, we got to take care of this guy. He's a good guy. He's a family, kids, and he's like, he's been really like, you're the one that he's been like on is making sure we take care of you. He said, so I saw. He said, no wonder why you don't want to leave. He said, I saw what it is. Yeah. I mean, the expansion was going to be $4.50 a square foot, no triple net lease, so no taxes, no insurance, $4.50 a square foot, a half a mile off a highway on one side, a mile and a half up the highway from the other side. I mean, it was like a no-brainer. So I mean, I wouldn't have to train many hours for them to then have to pay me to make that up. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So I'm just trying to think of.
I think just off the top, I think you can make, with the right PR, with the right messaging, you can make anything work. And if you get out ahead of this thing, I think there's a lot you could do with it to make it work. However, if you don't do that, and you just sort of, if you don't manage this aggressively in a proactive way, you will have guilt by association in the eyes of a lot of people, potentially the parents of a lot of your athletes. And that won't be good, because there's a lot of people, I think 50% of the population at this point, and I'm one of them, believe that there is some medical efficacy and value to marijuana. I think that's been proven on the medical side. But the bottom line is that most people are using it just to get high. And so you've got to, you're fighting a perception issue with a lot of parents who are concerned about their kids potentially being right next to a facility manufacturing marijuana. So it's tricky, Mike. This is a tricky one. What's your gut on it?
I don't think I have a gut either. I guess I don't know. My gut is call the state rep that I train right now, that we train, and see if I can get her to squash the whole thing. Because perfect world, honestly, I don't really care about the rent being paid for. I'd rather see the whole thing fall through. And let's go back to our other deal. That's what I'm hoping. But what this guy told me is that preliminary talks and everything, that it already looks like it's pretty much going to go through. It's got to go through the town to be voted. But he said the town's lost $4 million in taxes when the power plant closed down. So that's going to be a huge thing. They also are talking about putting up another building right on the side here, the same owner, for them to be able to move the tenants from this building into that building. He did say like that even if we move, that there would probably be some kind of compensation in terms of moving us out. They don't want to piss anybody off in the town. So I don't know. My gut is like, you know what I mean? Even down the road, like, okay, so they said that in about a month and a half, it's going to be all over the news around here, but they're trying to keep it as quiet as possible until then. And if it comes all over the news, I just don't know. Like when parents look it up, are they going to want to drive it, even in the future, like marketing wise? Yeah, that's that place, but do we really want to bring our kid there?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I mean. It would have to be really proactively managed. and the messaging would have to be strong and consistent, because you would be fighting a perception. You will be fighting a battle there to overcome the knee-jerk negative perception that's associated with marijuana.
And that'll be a consistent battle. Like I'm gonna have to continually do that. I feel like over the years, because maybe I can do it right now with my members now, and they're like, okay, yeah, all right, I understand. But then a year from now, 6 months from now, what am I gonna keep fighting that same argument? Right. So I'm like up in the air with that. I do think I'm like, wow, rent free. I'm like, what do I got to lose?
Yeah. No, I think you're right. You ought to talk to your lawyer too. And just because, the other thing is you don't want to, I don't think, just off the top of my head from what I know, these businesses, these marijuana businesses are not, federally, they are against the law. They're still illegal federally. And in the state, they're legal. They're given state, but they still can't, the way I understand it, they can't even bank. They can't use banking facilities because that falls under federal jurisdiction. So banks won't process their money. I believe it's all a cash business. That's the way I understand it. I could be wrong. But so you don't want to have any type of business relationship with these people, I don't think, because they're not federally, they're illegal. Yeah. So I could see a lot of problems cropping up here. I'm in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, they might be trying to put me in this position because they know I'm well known in the area. Yeah. They're going to go to the town and be like, hey, listen, we're going to bring Mike's going to be in there. It's going to be all wellness, and we're going to have the medical. I don't even know. Like for all I know, they're hiding kind of what they're even doing. They're just like a pharmaceutical company doing like whatever.
That's exactly what I was just going to say to you, Mike, because it sounds like they're giving you almost a deal that's too good to be true. It sounds good, but he wants to win you over because he knows how much rub he's getting. So this sucks.
I think you're going to end up being a pawn in their big game.
Yeah.
That's my gut reaction on it, Mike, is I agree with what Aaron said, and I think you end up being a puppet that they want to use you to help win other people over. And then when it's all said and done, it's real easy to spit you out and kick you to the side. Yeah. That's what I sense. I mean, I don't like looking at things in a negative aspect, but you have to take a step back and see what's in it for them, what's in it for you. Is free rent really the be-all, do-all of it for what this could do for you in your community?
Yeah.
What price tag
and the thing, like, and that's the thing, right? When I go back, if it wasn't for the fact that this spot was like I said, I'm getting a steal with I'm paying 3 times as much if I go anywhere else, and it's nowhere near the accessibility that I have right now. So obviously the biggest part is I like the space. If this was anywhere else, I would be like, I'd walk away in a second. So
let me ask you this. You getting that space for free is the deal for your face being on their program.
I guess essentially, I don't know. So I went there today. I mean, I don't know.
I can't.
I don't want to be the face. And that's one of the things I would be sure of. Like, I'm not going to be the face of the thing. You're not going to sell the thing through me. The guy even said to me, he's like, there's 2 ways. I mean, depending on what the town lets us do, we can either sublet it to you, but not charge you rent, or you could work under our umbrella, but still keep your own thing. And we'd pay you you would have the place for free. You'd still be able to train your outside clients, and we would pay you a salary on top of it.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't want any association, I don't think. Yeah. In fact, I'd tell them, I'd just say, no, I insist on paying rent. I insist on this being a legal transaction, a standard legal transaction. Because if you've got to stay, and it looks like, you probably will unless you can move immediately, you're going to need to set up a firewall between you and them. And paying rent is the first step in that, so nothing should be. And in fact, maybe you ought to just say to them, I something along the lines of, I don't know how you'd say it, but the point is, you would probably want to aggressively put the message out there that you are strongly anti-recreational use of marijuana, that there may be some medical benefit to it, that there might be. You could just say, hey, I don't know, maybe there is, but I am strongly anti, recreational use, just to make sure that people really understand where you stand.
I know. So in my head, I'm thinking like, well, I know the state rep. What this guy told me when he came here is that the owner of the building is actually involved with the deal. Like he's going to be like a co-owner of this company and stuff too. So it's a win-win for him too. So I'm like, man, do I reach out to the state rep and try to squash this whole thing and try to get, try and get this whole thing squashed so that it can't get passed.
I think
but then
that's more money. That's more money. That's more throwing good money after bad there. I think you need to determine.
Well, I'm not going to pay. I mean, I'm just going to reach out. I'm not going to pay her or anything. She trains with us just to put a bug in her ear and see what she thinks. If she even knows about it or how we could stop it.
I mean, I don't know if you can stop it because money talks. However, I mean, the money you would save in your rent by being there, I agree that you would have to put out a strong message, and it's almost worth it to hire a publicist to figure out the approach. Almost like damage control, so to speak. Be proactive in it if you were to stay at that building. Yeah, I don't think this want anything to do with their business whatsoever.
Yeah. No, yep. Go ahead,
I think,
Aaron.
Mike, honestly, I think everything sounded really good as you first presented it to us. Everything sounded like, man, okay, this is, wow, great deal. Everything would just have to be executed in writing and clear cut. And I do feel there should be an exchange. They should pay you for your service and you should pay a reasonable rent. Otherwise, these things go bad because if you get a new CEO who says, what's this wellness program? Why are we doing this? You get axed. Or it's just like the whole Tom Brady situation with his trainer training out of their facility. Nothing was in writing. Nothing was, and so then boom, he gets pulled in 2 seconds.
It's funny because the guy actually mentioned reading that book today.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those things where it was like, man, when you first started saying this, I was like, man, this sounds like a really cool deal. But then the more you've kind of dug into it, there's obviously some integrity. And then there's also the ethics side of the or same thing. But I don't know, when it sounds.
Aaron, we lost you there for a sec.
Yeah, we lost her.
Yeah. I would suggest you talk to your lawyer, Mike, and just cover your ass in every possible way because, people they play games and you don't want to be used.
Yep.
As you mentioned.
Especially because they're big time. They've done already 3 of these, so they've been around the block multiple times. So
yeah.
Everything needs to be a hands transaction. There has to be some sort of documentation to cover your butt, buddy.
Yeah.
So they're supposed to they're getting the specifics from their attorney and all that stuff too. But I'm not. I told them I'm waiting to hear from them in terms of anything. They said they were going to be in touch with me within another month or so. He said, I know I hate to tell you to hang tight, but so I don't know. See, that's the thing that pisses me off is I don't really know if they're going to these town meetings and now going to use like, oh yeah, we're working something out with Mike and Infinite, and they're using it without me even knowing in the conversation with the town selectman or whoever they're meeting with.
That'll get back to you really quick.
Yeah.
Well, let me just throw in my 2 cents here, then just leave it at that. There's no way in God's green earth, on this earth, I would bring my kid to your facility with a marijuana, anything, inside that building. As a parent, raising kids, you're completely axed immediately. And that's my personal parental, call, right? And so that's what I fear for you, beyond everything else, all that stuff. My great fear for you is parents who want to raise their kids outside of a drug-free environment is going to associate you with it, and that's my great fear. Moreover, the parent doesn't want to come there because now they'll be associated by their kids.
The cars parked in the parking lot of the.
All right. Yeah. And so suddenly their kids aren't, agreeing with mom and dad. You tell me I can't go there, but you're going there. Whatever.
I think you're right, Aaron. I think that's exactly that's the crux of the issue right there. Is that it would almost most likely kill your business. Just because people, even if they're progressive enough to vote and say, yeah, let's legalize marijuana, they still don't want their kids near it.
Yep.
Right.
I agree. I agree, because I wouldn't want my kid there.
Yeah. No, it's, yeah.
So does this mean you have to get a new space?
Yeah. I mean, so if the deal goes through, it's going back in front. Apparently it already went through, and they had to make some changes to bylaws and stuff like that. And then
When's
after
your
that,
lease up?
it's already up. I'm month to month right now.
Oh, so the sale of the building already has gone through?
No, but my lease ended. My lease ended in January. 1st of January.
Can you buy the building?
No, it's like $3 million.
Is it?
It's huge. The building's huge, and it's got like it's actually, that's what it sold for in 2011. It's probably even more now, because it has. The guy was telling me that the solar panels that are on the roof and the big solar field in the back that they're also getting in the deal is enough to power the entire. Like, they're not going to have to pay anything, and that's how much it generates. I forget what he said.
I'd be looking for a new space. I mean, you need to.
I've been looking. It's just really expensive, and I can't. My biggest thing is, like, this is such a steal. In order to
get that,
I know. So what I'm afraid of is going backwards and getting a spot that doesn't look as nice as what we have here, and then people say, "Wow, what the hell? We're going backwards." That's my biggest. Do
you have a broker?
No. Well, yeah, like a real estate agent. Yeah. I'm talking with 2 different ones that have been looking at spaces for me. Then I just talked with another guy who is like, he's on the recreational department around here in terms of like the 2 different cities, the industrial parks and all that stuff. And he was giving me like advice, but it's like, and they're all like triple net leases. So I was in a triple net lease originally. And I mean, it took my price per square foot and like almost quadrupled it. So if you're looking at, $12 a square foot, that becomes, I can't afford the space that we were going to go into. So it's like.
Yeah, but Mike, you run a good business. I mean, you have a solid business, and you've been getting a steal, which is, awesome, but you kind of are getting your back against the wall, and someone else is going to be telling you what you're doing here in a second if you don't take control. I mean, that's,
no, I agree. I agree with you 100%.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be the jerk.
No, no, absolutely. I love it.
It's a good point. Yeah.
So here's an out of the box thought. Just consider it. Go to the other tenants of that building and see if there's a co-op to buy it.
But I think, so here's the problem. The guy who owns it is going in on this business. The guy who owns the building, he's going in on the business. He's going to be one of the
owners.
One of the owners of the plant.
I see.
So they're all pushing to make it happen. They're all pushing to make this deal happen. He's just like, I struck a nerve with him in our conversation that I think he feels bad about giving me the boot. Yeah. Especially after we had already agreed in October. We came to an agreement. He told me it was done deal. Paperwork's all set. Just got to sign it. And I think now we're in that. And he said to me again today, he's like, again, this might not even go. Who knows what's going to happen? It might not even go through come March, and we'll be signing a 5-year extension. Which in perfect world, but I can't wait that way.
No, because you're having to
live your life based on what they're going to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Not.
I mean, and that's what they're doing, is holding you captive right now. Yeah. And all you can do.
I've looked at 3 spots total. Just haven't found anything that's even like remotely. But I mean, they told me that even if the sale goes through, it's still going to be after the sale. Like, say it would be end of March. If that goes through, it would be 6 to 8 months before all the permits were done and people having to be moved out. So I'm looking at the rest of this year. But I've been looking, and I'm going to continue to look. I'll wait and see what these guys come back with. I mean, in a perfect world, they come back in the March, because they said they didn't want to do any like signing of anything or any of that stuff until they want to make sure that the thing's going to happen. So they're still like, I guess,
covering their butts. They're taking care of themselves.
Yeah.
So you are the victim in this. So you've got to take care of the situation. Otherwise, they'll take care of you. Mm-hmm. Because even though permits may take 6 to 8 months, If they purchase this building, they can say, dude, get out. You weren't part of the deal. I didn't like what you're offering, whatever. They can tell you what to do in 2 seconds. And that's your business. That's your livelihood. And
yeah, because it's very obvious based on what they offered to you that your monthly rent isn't a concern to them.
right.
Yeah.
So if they were to close on that in March, April, they could come to you because you have a month-to-month lease and say you've got 30 days.
Yeah.
Or 60 or whatever's written in your lease.
Yeah.
So I think you have to be, like Aaron said, be proactive, looking, be prepared for the worst. And if it happens, then you just have to restructure your marketing plan and everything to make sure you're covering your nut.
I talked with my attorney already about this, and she said that I could easily hold over if they come in, when they come and try to evict me. Because I actually have all the paperwork from them, like giving me saying 5-year lease extension. I have all this. He had his copy signed. I had my copy signed. We were supposed to meet together to sign it. That never happened. So she said I can hold over and it won't be an issue. And actually it was a real estate attorney that I actually ended up speaking with for this. But I'm looking. I don't want to jump the gun and go to a spot that's not a great spot and then have this fall through and be like, shit. So I'm like, I'm like, what do I do? And it's like, I just say everything happens for a reason. So,
But you can put in writing that you can put in potential terms for your next lease. Let's just say that if this happens, X happens. So you can write your terms. And it sounds like this real estate lawyer is a good one for you. And I'm glad you have one. But even though you have all of the stuff in the right, you can still get the short end of the stick. So number one, you're having a baby in March. Number two, your headspace, because I know what it's been like to purchase 2 properties, go through multiple leases, trying to find properties not working. I mean, we've had anything and everything go wrong when it comes to real estate. Everything does happen for a reason. You're going down these paths right now to learn lessons. But one thing that I've learned is be one step ahead. Don't jump the gun. I'm not saying to do that because I do agree with what you're saying. This all could fall through. This is all hearsay right now because no one has signed anything. But you're in a very vulnerable position, and as you know, you have an awesome company, and that's hard to be in jeopardy like that all the time. And you don't know what next month is going to bring, even though you are in the right. And your lawyer has proven and shown, hey, you have all this documentation, but at the end of the day, do you really want to be dealing with all of this?
Right, no.
You're trying to run a company, you've got great products that you're selling, and then now you've got to deal with all these issues. I mean, it's going to take tenfold time. And you're having a baby. Did I say that?
That's worth saying again. Let me add one other thing. I think that's just awesome advice, what you just got there. And I would also say that you will win in the court of public opinion should you have to battle in some way. And so one of the things that I would do if I were in your shoes, Mike, I would send an email out. I would record a video or write a letter or do both and send it out to my list and say, here's the situation that I'm up against right now. Here's how I feel, and just share your core values. And let them know I'm adamantly opposed to this. I'm an athlete. My brother, I play, blah, blah, blah. I train athletes, the whole story. But you can say, I really don't know what to do. I'm up against it here, and I'm just looking for some feedback. And maybe you can help if you've got some thoughts or ideas. And just open that communication channel and see what you get back. That's one thing. The other thing that I would consider doing, because you're going to have to take a side here. You can't ride this thing down the middle, I don't think, hope for the best. I think you're going to have to go one way or the other. And if you're going to take a side, the side's got to be against the whole thing. And I think we concluded that. So I would try and get some media attention. I would write a letter to the editor or something and just say, here's a situation that I'm up against and I don't really know what to do or whatever. And I just outline the thing, try and get it into the paper and see what happens, get some action. Do you
think I should wait until this whole thing gets announced? Because if I piss off the owner of the building and then this falls through, he might be like, you know what, dude, I was trying to help you out and screw you, man. Now you can pay $20 a square foot.
That you're right, and you have to take all those things into consideration. So yeah, you wait, and see what plays out a little bit, but don't wait too long, because as Aaron was saying, it's got to go to the town. Like the people in the town have to vote on it. Yeah, and believe me, they will vote for you. A fitness business that trains student athletes, is going to win out over a marijuana business. It just will.
Except for the money.
Yeah,
right.
$4 million. They're $4 million shorter in taxes this year because of the power plant sale. Yeah, but you live in a relatively affluent in the north. I mean, people. That is a bottom line consideration. It's not a bottom line. That is a consideration. The taxes are important. But what's more compelling is the heart, the emotion, and they see the health of children versus marijuana. They're going to choose the kids every time. I don't think so. I don't think the money would win with households, with parents. I mean, it could win with the government. Sure, the government making a decision. They want the revenue from the taxes. But I think if you had that argument, what's more important, your kids or a marijuana business, people are going to choose kids. That's my opinion. Yeah. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. Appreciate it big time. It's a tough situation, and don't hesitate to keep coming back to the well, bring it up as much as you want. We'll talk it through, continue to talk about it, and hopefully help you every way we can. That's a shit situation, but as Aaron, I got in the car after going to the meeting. I'm like, man, this could be freaking awesome. As soon as the guy says the medical thing, I'm like, oh, shit. Get in the car, and I'm like, I was shaking my head. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. You got to be kidding me, of all things. Of all things. That's so, wild. But hey, go hard or go home, man. Find a way to make it happen. Yeah. One way or another, we'll make it happen. So, thanks, guys. I appreciate it. I have to run. So. All right, Mike. Take it easy, brother. All right. Yeah, we're going to shut it down. I think Rick had to go do some stuff. Aaron, is there anything else you want to talk about? You're good.
No, thanks for your help on that piece.
Yeah, thank you for everything. Your contribution was awesome. That was good. I think that's helped Mike a lot. I think. Clarity.
I mean, that's a tough one.
It really is. Really tough. All things, and it just got legalized in just a few weeks ago. I think was the beginning of legalization.
I know, but just putting myself, like Aaron said, would I take my child next door? And at first, I was like, oh, who cares? And then I'm like thinking about Leo walking in there to play ball or whatever, and I'm like, that's not going to work. So
you don't want to take the chance. Yeah, because it could just be the exposure. Just by proximity, they get interested, and you don't want any of that. Yeah,
no,
that's how parents think.
And it also sounds too good to be true. In any real estate deal, it's never too good to be true. It's always cost tenfold for me, at least, or us, I should say. But
no doubt. The point you made about him putting clauses in the contract because he can control to some degree what happens, that's a great point.
Well, and that's what I've learned about commercial real estate is anything goes. It's not like residential. Residential, you are pretty much by the book. When it comes to commercial, shoot, you can write anything into that contract. I mean, we did.
Yeah, no, that's right. Rick, is your daughter okay?
Yeah, it was at the school. Apparently she was sitting in the car. The kid drove off, hit it, looked at her, and then kept driving. So he knows it.
Pieces.
I just went out and looked at it. It's not a major thing, but the fact that he drove off is kind of what pisses me off.
Yeah.
And that's a major ticket for that kid or whoever did it. Yeah. You can't leave the scene of an accident. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up then. Thank you all very much. It was great talking with you, and we'll see you on Facebook.
All right. See you guys. Thanks.